Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a quick recap of what we learned in class today. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share with you, and I'm going to open up my project. Okay, so you should have your all sequence. You should have a D1 sequence where you have done all of your editing. So let me pull this up. You have your script, and now you're going to copy it. You're going to make cuts on your all sequence, and you're going to copy and paste from your all sequence onto your draft one sequence, right? And this is where you were at the beginning of class today. So you have all of these things that are just in a row lined up together. If you want to move something, I just zoom out with my minus key, select all my stuff, move it over, and then take the soundbite that I want to move and move it in between. And then I delete and pull it over. Okay. This little snap in timeline tool is very helpful. So make sure you have your snap in timeline on. The other thing sometimes I will do is that I will take all my footage and just move it way to the right and then move everything back one piece by one piece by one piece. So you'll figure out a workflow that works for you. Okay. So now that we have everything on our timeline, we want to just make sure that it sounds good, right? So before we start editing, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate draft one. So all of my sync footage exactly as it came out of my recording devices. Draft one is my script. And now I'm going to duplicate draft one to create draft two. So on the icon, I'm going to right click and say draft two. And then I'm going to double click and it will open over here. This is where I'm going to start cleaning up my, my timeline. So the goal for you is to shorten it even more, watch it, shorten it, look at what you need to cut out what you think you need to cut out. And then you're going to do a few things. The first is you're going to solo by pressing this S right here, your external audio track, and you're going to listen to see how high the levels are.
With 3 congregations to study, and those 3 congregations were Vineville United Methodist Church, Highland Hills Baptist Church, and Mulberry Street United Methodist Church here.
Okay, so it kind of peaks up at -9 and then goes kind of lives around -10 or -11. So I am going to just select all of my external audio, just that. I don't want to do all of the things. I just want to do my external audio. And I'm going to use the shortcut G. This is going to allow me to add a few decibels to boost my audio. So I'm going to press 2. Okay, boost it up to make it louder.
Okay.
You might need to do that a lot. So if your audio is super quiet, you're going to need to boost it 10, 15, 20. The issue is that you're also boosting room tone. So you want to make sure that your audio recorder, so your microphone, is actually really close to the sound that you're recording. So this is my audio from a lav that is right underneath his mouth. And so that's why my audio is really good. Okay, so first thing, that's like a big general edit that I can do that can raise all of my audio levels to be in a better place. Now I'm just going to look at every individual cut where one clip meets another one. And I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to just look at it and watch it. So I can tell that there's a big kind of, I kept the breath at the end and the breath at the beginning. So this is probably going to look awkward.
The Methodist Church here in Macon. Okay, so one.
Right? So there's a pause and then there's another pause. Let me move this over here because I can kind of be kind of big.
Church here in Macon. Okay, so
it's actually a lot of kind of noise. So I'm going to cut out this pause. And then I'm going to listen to the other one.
Okay. So.
And I'm actually going to start at this. So. Or okay. And then I'm going to delete it and pull it in. And I'm going to listen to it. And I like to listen to it like closing my eyes, listening to the cut to see if it sounds okay.
Methodist Church here in Macon. So one of the problems that
He says so twice. So now I can go in and cut that extra so. And then I'm deleting in the middle, clicking in the middle and deleting it.
Here in Macon. So one of the problems that researchers have is
I'm going to do that at everything. So I'm going in and zooming into my cuts to try to see if the two clips next to each other sound the way that they would sound in conversation. We're trying to mimic conversation.
facilitates or enables or configures it.
Huge pause. It's
And
awkward.
so the final,
right? So I want to cut out that really long pause. I like that I have it. It's helpful later if I need room tone or something like that, but I don't for this piece.
Facilitates or enables or configures it.
And I am going to use my arrow keys to go back frame by frame because I'm going to look at what he looks like here. His mouth is open. So I actually want his mouth to be open. And I'm going to cut. And then I'm going to delete it and pull it on back.
And so
and he has a breath at the end. So right now it sounds like, which is not the way we talk, right? We don't go. So I'm going to cut out this other one at the end and see if this sounds good.
Or configures it. And so the final capability,
right? Usually the breath leading in, like before they talk, is the one that you should keep in. But sometimes you cut and then at a phrase and they didn't take a breath. So the breath at the end of the first clip can help kind of create that. But that sounds pretty good. So you're going to go through and just fine tune where your clips meet to try to make it sound as good as possible. I'm thinking about pacing. I'm thinking about spaces in between. You just want to kind of make it sound as good as possible. And maybe you'll get into a situation where you need to give yourself a little bit more space. So I'm going to pull that out, kind of zoom in, and maybe I want to pull this out a little bit. Oh, no, I don't like that. So I don't want that there, but maybe I decide I want to bring this back. If you hover at the end of a clip, you can pull it out or pull it either way. So I can edit it in, or if there's more of a clip, I can pull it out. So I'm going to delete in the middle. So once you go through and you fine tune where all of your audio, where all of your clips meet, fine tune the audio where all your clips meet, then we're going to add crossfades to all of your clips. So I like to zoom out and then I'm going to delete all these spaces so that everything's right next to each other. And I can just tell that there's a big gap here. So I want to delete it. And I'm actually not editing the audio in A1 and A2 just because I know that I'm not going to hear it. The reason I recorded on the camera was so that it would be really easy for me to match the waveforms and synchronize it. But I only need to listen to my best audio. So I'm only going to listen to my external audio. But once I have all of my pieces, they sound pretty good. I'm going to go in and put my crossfades. And the shortcut for this is Command-Shift-D. And that goes in and that puts a crossfade on every single cut. And I am going to drag it in so that you don't want to hear them, but it allows you to cover the pop that happens when two audio clips are next to each other that aren't at the same level, right? So I'm going to go here. And if I listen to it,
here's that. So I got it.
It sounds like he's talking over himself. That doesn't sound good, right? But if I hover at the edge of the crossfade and pull it in,
it figures that. So I got into this project trying to answer a question that.
Great. So same thing. You're going to hear him talking over himself.
For others. So part of what's going on.
I don't like that. So I'm going to hover at the end and kind of pull it in and just listen.
Music for others. So part of what's going on.
You can't really hear where the cut is. That's what I want you to do. I want you ideally to not be able to hear where you made a cut. So you're going to go in and just like listen to every single place where two clips meet.
Some currency to it, right?
And sometimes a longer crossfade will actually sound good. So sometimes that wasn't a good example of it, right? But let's see, if I do this, I might be able to pull in a crossfade.
Currency to it, right? So
I don't want him to talk over himself, but sometimes it'll be better than it's.
So instead of looking at money and.
Right. Okay. So you're going to go through and do all of that. And then the last thing that I really want you to do is you are going to go in between each of your camera angles, right? So Every other clip, you're going to raise up to the top. And I like to kind of start with my wide view. So every other clip, I'm just going to pull up to the top. And then I'm going to hide this whole track so that I can go from here.
There's people's ideas about God. I think about how music configures that. So I got into this project trying to answer that I did for my last book, which was called Music for Others. So part of what's going on with this is,
and those cuts in between will help you. It'll just feel a lot better and a lot more natural. And if you want to watch it really big, you can, the squiggle key below your escape key at the top right-hand corner, the top left-hand corner of your keyboard, if you press that, it will make the quadrant that you're in big. Cool. The biggest thing that I saw in class today was that a lot of you were not in the editing window. So editing workspace window, workspace editing, that's really helpful. And if you lose something and you want to find it, come down here and click on it. So you want to make sure that you can see, just like play around with this and it'll show you other pieces of things that you might need to have access to. All right, I'm gonna try to put that all out there, but we're gonna export these Tuesday. So I want to make sure that your video is closer to 5 minutes. I want it to be fine-tuned. I want it to look good. And we're going to go from there. Thank you.